YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy Yo, and this is another episode of Yo Hoops. We go through every NBA game every day. Today's Monday, February 24th, and we have an 8-game NBA card. I'm gonna walk you through every game, let you know which sides I like, and stick around because I have 2 highlighted plays for today. I do this every day for free, so make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we went 1-1. We split our highlighted plays of the day. First, we took the New York Knicks plus 9 points against the Boston Celtics. We dropped this one, but there was huge live betting opportunity in this. The Celtics were up 19 after the first quarter, and we were getting plus 20.5 with the Knicks live. I did load up on that, and the Celtics ended up winning the game by 13. We do officially drop the play, though. Next, we took the Toronto Raptors plus 2.5 against the Phoenix Suns. It was nice to get back in the win column with this one. The Raptors aired out the Suns and they cashed on the money line. We're now 4-15 against the spread on highlighted plays in February, sliding still, but let's go get a win, stack a win in the win column today. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Brooklyn Nets in Washington taking on the Washington Wizards. Nets are laying 3 points, and the total is 216.5. The Wizards do come into this game on the second leg of a back-to-back. They got aired out by the Magic last night in Orlando, and now they fly back home to DC. Their injury report is tentative due to this being a back-to-back, but based on the line, I think that they're going to clear some guys off of the injury report. The Nets will be without Cam Thomas and D'Angelo Russell here. Nets have been hoping, though. I do lean in their direction. They've covered in 7 of their last 10 games against the spread, but rather than looking at the side, I'm looking at the total in this one. I mentioned yesterday that the Wizards scored the 27th least points in the league, and having no rest here isn't going to help their case. The Nets, on the other side, scored the 29th least points in the league. Over their last 10 games, the Nets have only scored over 105 points just one time in their last 10 games. 9 out of 10 went 105 or lower. These are the 2 bottom 3 slowest paced teams in the league, and I think this sets up perfectly for an under. We're taking the under 216.5 as our first selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Chicago Bulls in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers are laying 4.5 points, and the total is 232.5. The Sixers honestly disgust me. We took them as our highlighted play 2 days ago, laying 11 on the Brooklyn Nets, and they lost the game outright on the money line. Looking at the injury report here for the Sixers, Embiid and Maxey are both questionable, and on the Bulls side, Jalen Smith and Ayo Dosunmu are ruled out, and Kobe White is probable. On the season, the Sixers are now 1-11 against the spread as home favorites, worst team in the league. But the thing is, in this spot, I think they have a legitimate chance to cover. They aren't laying an extended number, and the Bulls aren't anything special on the other side. The Bulls have only covered against the spread in 4 out of their last 10 meetings, and I've been telling you guys they're a 50-50 team. I'm literally in no rush, zero rush to back Philly here, but I do think it's the right side. So we're taking the Sixers laying the 4.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets in Indiana taking on the Indiana Pacers. Nuggets are laying 5 points, and the total is 245.5. The Pacers do come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home in Indiana. They've looked good recently, too. They've now won 3 games in a row, covering against the spread in all 3. Denver is a good team, but they typically do their best work at home in the Mile High City. As road favorites where they find themselves here, they're just 8-12 against the spread on the season. I think the Pacers are just back in that mode. We've seen over the last couple seasons that when they click, they can be conference finals contenders. Here, I see them being competitive, if not winning this game outright. So we're taking the Pacers plus the 5 as our first highlighted selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the LA Clippers in Detroit taking on the Detroit Pistons. Clippers are laying 2 points, and the total is 224.5. Both of these squads come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Pistons been hoping. They've won and covered against the spread in their last 6 straight meetings. The Clippers on the other side have been a 50-50 team recently. They've been good in spots, but they have dropped spots where they're supposed to win. As road favorites, the Clippers are now 4-7 against the spread on the season. Looking at the Clippers injury report here, Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell are both questionable. I do want to see if they go, but I think Kawhi goes since he didn't play yesterday. It looks like he was resting in a look ahead spot here. Regardless if either one of these guys plays or doesn't play, I'm not stepping in front of these red hot Pistons. We're taking the Pistons plus the 2.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Miami Heat in Atlanta taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Heat are laying 1 point, and the total is 229. Both of these teams do come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. I like the new pieces the Heat have added. Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Davion Mitchell, they're all hoopers. It's taken a while for them to find their chemistry, but they look good, especially in the first half of that game against the Bucks yesterday. The Hawks have been a tough team for me to figure out. I really like Trae Young's game. Like I've said, he's one of, if not my favorite point guard in the league, but he doesn't have enough help around him to stack wins on a consistent basis. While he is the best player on the court on either side here, I think this deep Heat team is able to weather through no rest. Both of these teams are on no rest and get the win in what should be a competitive matchup. We're taking the Heat on the money line as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves in Oklahoma City taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder are laying 12.5 points, and the total is 228.5. This feels like deja vu. We saw these two teams play last night in Minnesota, and now they fly to Oklahoma City for the second leg of a back-to-back. We laid 9 points with the Thunder last night, and they ended up winning the game by just 7. Mind you, there was points where you could get the Thunder money line for minus 115 odds. So again, make sure you guys are keeping an eye on the live lines. The game last night had dramatic swings, but when the Thunder locked in, they were able to easily pull ahead and secure the dub. I think here at home, they don't let their foot off the gas. As home favorites, the Thunder are now 18-8-2 against the spread on the season, and I see them stacking another home cover here. We're taking the Thunder laying the 12.5 as our second highlighted selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Portland Trailblazers in Utah taking on the Utah Jazz. Blazers are laying 4.5, and the total is 232. The Blazers had been sliding a bit after going on that ATS heater over the last couple months, but then they did air out the Hornets by 53 points in their last meeting. They're getting a bit back on track. Looking at the injury reports, DeAndre Ayton, Matisse Thybulle, and Robert Williams III are all ruled out for the Blazers. And on the Jazz side, Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, and Colin Sexton are all ruled out. Then Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler are both questionable. I do need to see how the injury report plays out on the Jazz side, but I have to lean towards the Blazers with how well they've played over the last few months. We're taking the Blazers laying the 4.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our last and final matchup of the evening, we have the Charlotte Hornets in Sacramento taking on the Sacramento Kings. Kings are laying 11.5 points, and the total is 232. This is one of my least favorite games on the board. While this is a good spot for the Kings, I can't trust them laying double digits on anyone. As home favorites, the Kings are now 8-13-3 against the spread on the season. The Hornets did just lose by 53 to the Blazers in their last outing, which does make me nervous, but I think that's the only way to go here. Who do the Kings have that make them 11.5 point favorites over LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams? This is a lot more evenly matched contest than the books are thinking. Give me the Hornets plus the 11.5 as our last and final selection of the evening. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Yesterday was a bit better. We split the highlighted, but we got the plus money with the Raptors. And overall, we went 5-4-1 on the card. So wasn't a bad day, but hey, let's go stack a win and get in that win column today. I do this every day for free, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.